Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Russell and Associates. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us here on HBC TV 25, and we're joined as always by head coach Tom Sawyer. Your initial thoughts of the win over Southwest Minnesota State and keeping the sledge in Winona for one more year?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's 5 years in a row. Very proud to have it. You can see after the game, guys are excited, coaches are excited to have it, taking pictures with their families and buddies and all that. Anytime you have a trophy game like that, it's just a little bit more added, emotion in the game and focus. And yeah, it's fun. It was fun for our football team to win the game at home in front of our family and friends. And a beautiful day for football and capped it off with a nice win.
All right, we'll see the sledge in just a little while. Coach has brought it with the players today. Owen Burke was named the MVP, so he gets the replica sledge. Tell us a little bit about what you saw in Owen's performance this week.
Yeah, he took a beating a little bit too. So he was really grit. I think is the name or the term I'll use with him in this football game. He threw the ball accurately when we had to. He kept drives alive. He got up off the turf a couple times. He was running around, and he's not the most mobile guy, but he got some critical yards for us and found the open receivers. And that gave us good balance in the run-pass attack, and overall his performance was really good. He kept us cool the whole time and just led the football team on the offensive side.
I guess you would call it kind of a slow-moving game in the first half because your first couple of scores were field goals, 27-yard field goals, and then towards the end of the first half you got the touchdown from Jake Blue, and that lead kind of led you through the second half. You were able to maintain at least a 7-point lead on Southwest the rest of the game. Talk about what you faced against Southwest on their defensive end, your offensive end, that kind of had that slow build.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it was just again we talk about it every week,
yeah.
But officiating is a thing that we're trying to battle. And I always tell the team, leave it alone, I'll battle it. Mm-hmm. And we had guys in here that they're calling everything, and when it's tight like that, you end up behind the chains, and that slows your offense down. We came out 2-minute tempo. It was great. Obviously we got to score touchdowns in big games instead of field goals, and I think that we will. That just got our team going. So coming out the first drive and scoring points was critical because we've been struggling 3 or 4 weeks in a row with that. And we did that, and we did it again this next drive, and I really felt good about where we were in our tempo. And then we got caught in that penalty situation, kind of back and forth a little bit, and if we can overcome that and understand this is how this group of officials is going to call it. If it's going to be tight, you got to play tight. If it's not going to be, then you probably don't have to worry about it as much. So we got caught in one of those games and ended up, 1st and 20 versus 1st and 10 is a big difference. So, but overall, we kept our cool. We handled the game well. I was proud of our players, and they were a better defense probably than we thought, especially in the back half. They had us covered up really tight, and Owen had to be accurate. We had to give him enough time to get it out there.
You bring up the penalties, and I was going to ask that if you brought it up, because I know that you didn't want to get in trouble last week, and I don't want to get you in trouble this week. But through the first 4 or 5 games of the season, you averaged about 5 penalties per game, and now these last 2 weeks it's been 12, and I think Southwest was called for 14. How does that affect the flow of the game? And I know 2 weeks ago you said, well, it was a newer crew. This week it was a veteran crew. And the same result. So you still had 12 penalties in the game.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
I'll be honest with you. We may have had 12 penalties on paper, but we struggled to find them on tape. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not trying to be critical of the officials, but they are searching for things instead of just letting the game go. And Jalen, one of our guests today, got caught on a holding on the backside of an outside run play the other way. And those are the things that they really don't matter in the game. And I didn't think he held him. 2, it's away from the play. Anything in front of the play, anything at the point of attack, obviously pass interference, those kind of, what kind of judgment is there, then you just live with it. But those kind of things do slow it up because that's a 20-yard run we had to bring back, those kind of things, and all of a sudden you're in scoring position or you're punting it. And, it makes a huge difference. So we just have to learn to live with it, and I think our players handled the officials well. I tried to get what I could out of them, but it's the way it goes, and whatever that situation is, we have to understand it and work with it.
Okay. Just last thing on that, do you talk with the league about that at all? Because it seems to be a trend now that's going up towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it is. They get involved. I mean, they're doing their best they possibly can. They love football. That's why they're doing it. And there's not enough officials. So anybody out there that wants to be an official, we need them badly. Mm-hmm. But our guys, they're veterans, like you said, and the commissioner was at our game. We talked about it before the game. We talked about it a little bit afterwards, but Aaron was here, and they're all aware. And Mike Nevin is a great supervisor of officials. He was a Big Ten official. We have 3 or 4 Big Ten officials in our crews, so they're doing everything they can to continue to get better, and that's all we can ask.
All right, we'll get back to the offense a little bit later on, as we got about 5 minutes left in this segment, so I want to get defense in here. Talk about how the defense played this week.
Actually, we were back up tempo. I really thought we played well at all levels. It was one of those days where, they were just grinding out 3rd downs and grinding out 4th downs. We just couldn't get them off the field. So we're about a step away from being all the way back to where we were at the first game of the year, where that tempo was fantastic. But I think that we had better understanding, even with a couple guys down. Cam Gavin didn't play in that kind of stuff, and a couple different guys came in and played in that spot. I thought Mitch Snicker did a nice job kind of directing traffic back there. And then we relied on the middle of our defense. Ben McCabe that's here today, and Devon and Clay Scheffner, those guys are awesome. And they played that way this weekend. And of course, Ducky being Ducky, Carter Duxbury played fantastic. And another kid who had a great game was Corey King.
And let's talk a little bit about Vernon Port and Arian Lacey, who both got the start this week because of injuries and because of just shaking things up. They did really well, too.
They did really well. In fact, AJ was, Arian was, not feeling great on the side, so he wasn't quite himself. But he's been playing really well all year. He's been playing a lot of football. He's been in our nickel package and that kind of stuff. He's earned the start, and he did a really nice job at corner. And then Vernon came in. He's a redshirt freshman. He's got a twin brother on the team as well, and they're from Atlanta. So we'll see how they do in the snow. But he really understands the game. He spends a lot of time at it. And again, for a young player like that, he has earned his opportunity, and I thought he made the most of it.
All right, let's go back to the offense then and talk about that a little bit, because Javian Roebuck finally came back in actual running back plays instead of just blocking plays. Talk about his play and Dominic London as well.
Yeah, I thought both of them played really well. To be honest with you, they both graded out right at 99% for the game. They didn't give up a sack, didn't fumble, scored a touchdown, and protected the quarterback. And I think that's our day's work in the running back group. But to have Javian Roebuck back there just makes a difference, because the whole team rallies around him. He's the guy. You know what I mean? He's the guy that people trust in big downs and big plays. And he came in and made some of those runs that kind of he's famous for. And this week he'll be at full strength. So we're really excited to get him back on the field.
All right, the receiving game, obviously it's always kind of a bunch of different receivers getting turns. Talk about the receiving core this week. Yeah,
to be honest with you, we always spread the ball around, and we did it again. Sawyer Molly, I mean, you know what, the thing that stands out, Justin, you'll see on the highlights too, is the way those guys are blocking at the wide receiver position right now to spring a couple other touchdowns, the Jake Blue touchdown. And Sawyer Molly made a great play. Ethan Wittenberg has catched the ball as he has been. They took a couple shots too, and they bounced right back, so they're tough kids. And then, at receiver, at tight end as well. Jalen Schleicher is becoming a man out there, and there's no doubt that he's a target. They were trailing with 2 around him most of the day, but that's the respect that he's now starting to get too. So when you start adding that up with the backs out of the backfield, Owen has a ton of opportunities out there to throw the football around.
All right. Sorry for jumping around, but I got to go back to defense, because I forgot to mention one guy who really stood out on defense, but kind of quietly, and that's Luke Lashinsky. He gets 2 fumble recoveries in the game. In fact, Bob said maybe he might be the MVP of the game midway through the game, but Luke Lashinsky was kind of on the spot this week.
Yeah, Luke's one of those. He's like a silent assassin. I mean, the guy's tougher than nails. He works harder than anybody on the football team in a weight room and that kind of stuff. I mean, he's just one of those guys. But he's a little bit short in stature, so nobody really sees him out there. But he is grinding it out in there, and did really make a bunch of good plays. And I told him he's got to learn to scoop and score and bat down a screen. So I was trying to see if I could get a touchdown out of him on a kind of day that he was having. But he was fantastic for the Warriors on Saturday. And
Richard Azuna, we call his name all the time.
Yeah, he's kind of back. He kind of laid back a little bit for a couple games, but his aggressiveness came back out yesterday or Saturday in the football game. So that was really fun to see, because you throw bubbles his way, he's going to run it down and bust it up. And you started seeing that from the first game. What we all saw was, wow, Richard was really playing well. Then he kind of we played soft in the secondary for a couple games. But now those guys have come back. They understand what they're doing. He really, really played well on Saturday as well.
All right, we are going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk to the players. Jalen Schleicher, tight end, will be our guest right after this.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk to the players, and we have a special guest along with our player. Jalen Schleicher has the sledge along with him. And Jalen, I guess, first off, what does this mean to you to be playing for a traveling trophy like this and to bring it with you here today?
It means a lot, especially just being where I'm from. Like, we don't ever get to play for little trophies like in between the season. So it's like, this is like a championship for me right here. So we took this game serious, and it meant the world to me, you know.
All right, let's back up a little bit. This is the first time that you've been on the show. Yep. Hammond, Indiana. How do you make it from Hammond, Indiana to Winona, Minnesota?
I'd have to say this guy right here. I mean, he dedicated himself to coming all the way out there to find a guy like me. I mean, the year before I did get recruited, we had our middle linebacker now, Devon Moore. Mm-hmm. He was my quarterback. I played right tackle for him. So it's been a crazy transition, but just blessed to being able to be behind him and having the opportunity to be all the way here in Winona, Minnesota, 5.5 hours away from my hometown, which is just crazy. So.
Yeah, and in high school, I mean, you played a lot. You said offensive line. I think you played quarterback a little bit as well. And you're a multi-sport athlete, played baseball, and maybe could have gone on to play baseball. You hit over 400 a couple of seasons. Tell us how you decided football and you know, kind of how you did that.
Yeah, so sadly in high school, my baseball team was terrible. They weren't dedicated. They didn't really care about the game. It was just a bunch of my friends that I got to come out. I was begging everybody, like, I need you guys. Like, we need 11 guys. You know, we need as many as we need to travel to be able to be eligible to play other teams. So I ended up always getting like the runts from the football team that just didn't care because they were my friends. They just wanted to come out and play. But I ended up losing the love for the game about junior year, just all the losing. I mean, but I ended up finding the love in football. So junior year was when I made the big switch. Like, this is what I want to do forever.
Okay. Yeah. Now, do you really think you could handle my knuckleball if I threw one in there?
Oh my goodness, yard. Yard. Here we go. Send it home.
Well, we kind of battle back and forth like this all the time, and Jalen, you're one of our most fun guys on the football team as well. But you've completely dedicated yourself to football, like you said. Why don't you talk about your last year in transition, how you've transformed your body and your mind into being a prototype tight end in this league?
Yep. So last November, I ended up having my labrum surgery to get repaired for my. I had a SLAP type 2 repair done. So in between then, it really showed me that I have to put my nose down, dedicate even harder. Like, I'm gonna have to catch up, keep up, and stay up with everybody else, even with this injury. So I really stepped back, and I did a lot of praying. So I think God helped me through a lot of what I went through, and I get a lot of my dedication from my mother. So, I mean, I got to give it to her, you know. But the dedication through the off season was just incredible, especially being around our guys here. Like, you see everybody wants to win, so you're around a winning team, like, you just want to win.
You know, the other question I have for you, Jalen, is the other part of the transition that you have really taken off of over the last couple of years is when you put your hand on the ground or when you're blocking, and now you're starting to dominate some people up front too. How has that been when a tight end is the most multiple position there is on a football field? Yeah. How have you transitioned that into the physical kind of play and then the finesse kind of play in the pass game? How's that work?
It's a great. I love having a balance between run game and pass game. It's a mindset, honestly. I want to kick the guy in front of me. I want to beat him as bad as he wants to beat me, but I just want it a little bit more every time. And as long as I approach it with that mindset, I don't think it's anybody in this nation that I can't block. So, and then in the pass game, I mean, I'm 6'6", so it's like you got to send your best guys against me. It's just that. And I've seen it, especially this season. Like, a lot of defenses are starting to play me different. So I've definitely noticed that it's getting to be that time.
All right, last question that I have for you. You're the third leading receiver on the team. What's it feel like to see all this hard work pay off on the field?
I love it. I know it's a lot more guys on the team that think, or they do deserve more opportunities. So I'm just blessed to be able to have all the opportunities that I've had. And I feel like everybody on our offense, deserves as many as I get. And I feel like we all are able to make the plays that I make. So I just love where I'm at on the team.
All right, very good. Thank you for joining us here today,
Absolutely.
and good luck the rest of the season.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, Ben McCabe will join us right after this.
One second.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. Time now to switch to defense, and Ben McCabe joins us. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
You're from Caledonia, so you're no stranger to titles and championships and trophies and different things. What is the sledge like compared to all the things you accomplished at Caledonia?
It's a lot bigger, that's for sure. To me, it just represents like being with the guys, everything that we've worked for together, is coming together. And Coach always talks about the story. When we went there and this rivalry was started. So that's kind of what it means to me.
Okay, now let's go backwards to your time at Caledonia. Last year, there, senior year, you were a running back, and of course, you got the second state title as a senior. But then you come here to Winona State, and you come in as a running back, and then you switch to defense and linebacker. What was that like? What was the decision then to switch over to defense?
It really wasn't my decision. I think Coach made that decision, and I'm glad he did. But right away, I was a little bit disappointed. I thought, I didn't really want to learn something different. But looking back, I think it was the best thing for me, and I love playing linebacker now. I think it's another outlet where you can be physical and go hit people. So.
Okay.
We look at that transition time. I remember sitting down and talking with you about that, and being a running back, I thought it was just your position coach that you couldn't stand anymore, so you went over to the defense. But obviously, we had a great time on the offense having you there. But how does that knowledge of offense help you on the defensive side?
Yeah, I think it helps significantly. I mean, kind of what the offense is trying to do, and then, using that knowledge, you can kind of try to not let them accomplish whatever they're trying to do. But
Sure. You look at also, working, you got Devon and Clay and other guys in that inside linebacker position. You're out in space all the time. How difficult is it in this league, as much as people are throwing the football around, to play in space as much as you have to in your position?
yeah, I think it's really difficult, and it all starts with like the initial read. So like you read pass, run, whatever coverage you're in, and you may have to make a play that's 20 yards away or however far, even on the other side of the field. So I think that's a big part of being different, but I love the challenge. I love running and getting there and taking good angles and, watching film and trying to learn as much as I can.
Maybe walk us through a play and kind of how you approach what you're seeing out on the field, because like you said, you guys watch a lot of film, and at the linebacker position, I mean, it could be a pass, it could be a run, you never really know. But how much is knowing from what you saw on film what's coming up ahead, and how much is maybe guessing and being in the right spot at the right time?
I think a lot of it is seen on film. Initially, you're looking at the tackle, you're getting your pass run read, and then it's just either triggering in the run game to whatever gap you have for that coverage, or in the pass, you're dropping into whatever area you need to be, or manning whoever you need to man. So I think it's pretty challenging. It's mentally, it's fun to get in the film all week and just learn about your opponent, and it's just, yeah, it's something you really need. I like watching film a lot.
Okay.
A question I have for you is we talk about defense playing fast all the time, and we come out of the gate against Concordia St. Paul, and everybody was talking about how fast our defense. But when they're running three-step pass, it's really hard to play fast sometimes because you're in coverage the whole time. But what does our defense need to do, as well as we played the other day, to take that next step from your perspective as a guy that's been on the defense for a long time? What else do we got to do to continue to even get better defensively?
I think we need to step up our communication even a little more. I think we communicate well. Vernon, the young guy, came in and communicated really well last game. But I think just, running to the ball with kind of reckless abandonment, just getting off blocks quicker, and then just, getting to the ball with bad intentions, as coaches say.
Yeah, and turnovers is another thing that, some years they just seem to come to you. This year we can't hardly buy one. And then we had a couple last week, and it was really kind of fun. But how much do you stress that in practice?
We stress it all the time. I mean, we have circuits, drills that we do every single day, punching at the football, trying to get it out constantly. High point footballs, practicing interceptions, setting up blocks for interceptions, and we practice it every day. We haven't had many opportunities to execute it yet, but I'm sure those are coming.
Absolutely.
All right, Ben, thank you for joining us here today, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk about Sioux Falls on the road. That's this week's opponent right after this.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Russell and Associates, and we'll talk about next week's game, or this week's game, in just a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about something else that happened on Saturday pre-game. We saw Erin Lynn, the NSIC commissioner, come in, and you talked about it in the first segment. But she presented you with a helmet, and there is a little kind of conference honor that was given to you for your last season as head coach. Tell us a little bit about what that was and what that meant to you to have Erin come down this week.
Well, it meant the world to me. I really appreciate Erin, the work that she does, both as an assistant commissioner or associate and now as the commissioner in the last few years. I think she does a tremendous job in the football world, which is not always easy for a female commissioner, and she's been spot on. And I've always appreciated that, and of course she's a Southwest grad, so it worked out perfect this week. But to get an award like that, or just a acknowledgement that you meant something to the league you're in for all these years. My whole career is in one conference, and for her to bring that down and just say thank you means the world to me, because there's been a lot of change over the last 25 years in our conference, and I felt like I had a hand in it a little bit, and obviously she said the same thing. So her and Mike Nevin, the supervisor of officials, I said, have become great friends for all these years, but I'm very, very proud to get that award.
All right, so that was kind of a helmet, an NSIC helmet. Does that go with you, or does that stay at the university?
No, that's got my name on it. That's going home with me eventually here. But yeah, it's got my record on the side and that kind of stuff. So we'll get a new sticker when we get to the very end. But yeah, just a great thing that I'll have on my mantle.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, before we get to Sioux Falls, I want to ask you about a couple things that I didn't get to in the first segment. Yep. And diving into the stats, you look at certain things and they kind of stand out to you, and you wonder about them if they even matter. You have run about 100 less offensive plays than your opponents this season. Does that matter? Is that a big number? Is that something that's concerning to you?
Well, it matters because the other stat that goes with us that we also are leading the league in yards per play. So if we had 100 more plays, I mean, how many more points would that be? So you start looking at almost a point a minute. The other stat that really stands out, and we've been trying to work with it, one, why we went up tempo to try to get some more plays in, but also our time of possession. We only had the ball for 27 minutes again. We're only averaging about 26 minutes. So, you know, we're down 4 or 5 minutes every game, really hurts us. So we're trying to find ways to continue to get better at third downs, take care of our possessions, and get off the field faster. I mean, it sounds elementary,
Right.
but those are the stats that you brought up there that are killing us right now, and that's a difference of 6-0 and 3-3.
You mentioned the third down conversions. 29% is what you're at this season. Where do you want to be, and how do you get there? How do you start converting a little bit more on third down?
Well, I think that the magic to it is be better on first downs. You know, we need to have a really good mix on first down to try to get and movement and trading and doing all these things to get the defense to play a little bit more base defense instead of so much pressure. That helps to get into second medium, then third and short, third medium. Those stats go up pretty fast. That's one thing. The other thing we have to do is we have to spend more time on it in practice. We do it every week, but we're going to spend more time on it this week emphasizing the chains and get those to move and keep our punter off the field.
All right. This week it's Sioux Falls, and next week it's Augustana. And I know that you want to take it one game at a time. You're not looking ahead at anything. But with the quirk of the schedule, you go to Sioux Falls twice. Now, it's not like going to Mary and then coming back and going to Minot. But
Right.
still, it's a pretty big trip. Your thoughts on having to go to Sioux Falls now twice on the road at this point in the season?
I look at it as a real advantage, to be honest with you. No, I don't want to travel to Sioux Falls twice back to back, but I think that it could help us in the end. You know, and you know me, I'm a big picture guy.
Mm-hmm.
We go out there and we get after Sioux Falls and win the football game, come back, and then we go against a nationally ranked Augustana, who's leading the league at 6-1 right now. So we start looking at those guys, or 5-1. Now we win on the road. 2 big wins like that on the road. And also Sioux Falls beat Augustana earlier in the year. So now we're beating a team that beat a team, and then we beat a team, and it all starts adding up. Well, I'd like to find out if we come back with Upper Iowa and Mankato, another ranked team, at the end. Well, if we got to that point, I'd like to sit down on Selection Sunday and see if the NCAA would allow us in. They have with 3 losses. In fact, Joe Holtzclaw talked to our team about it. When he was at Northwest Missouri, they were 3-3. They won out, and they went to the national championship game. So can it happen? Absolutely. So that's the big picture piece of it. Obviously, got to take care of job 1 this week.
All right. How do you match up against Sioux Falls this week?
Really pretty good. You know, they're explosive. They're kind of up and down a little bit, like we have been. You know, so you see a really good Sioux Falls team, and then you see one that makes some mistakes. So we know we're going to get their best at their place. You know, it's always windy out there anyway. We got to play with that, like we did last weekend, which did have some effect in the game. But we just have to play clean. We have to understand the officiating and how it's going to go and those kind of things, and then just go play and have no regrets. And I think if we do that, I think we have a great opportunity to win the game.
All right. And then the last thing, your luncheon this week, the sledge will be there if people want to go see it.
Yeah, the sledge. We brought it last week, too. I thought they were going to hit some salads with it or something. But it's just a cool thing, and it's fun to play for. But, yeah, noon at Riverport Inn on Thursday. And these 2 guys will be our guests over there as well. So they have a chance to talk a little bit more about their offense and defense and, of course, growing up where they did, just like we do here. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here and the insights, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully talk about a win against Sioux Falls.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you for joining us here on the Tom Sawyer Show. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.